Hi guys, in this discussion of the book How I Became a Hindu by Sitaram Goel, we discuss his views of the Ayodhya movement of 1991 and his views of Arun Shourie. I will close this chapter with my comments of the Ayodhya movement. Ram Swarup had seen this movement as an opportunity to educate the Hindus about the character of Islam. As early as 1983, he had asked me to put my knowledge of history and archaeology to some use, and compile a directory of Hindu temples destroyed by the Islamic invaders and rulers down the centuries. The Muslim monuments which had come up on the sites and or built with materials of the Hindu temples had to be highlighted. I had got busy with source materials which were voluminous and in several languages. It was going to be a big job. Muslim leaders and Stalinist historians, quote-unquote historians, were raising a howl about quote-unquote Hindu chauvinism when it came to the notice of Arun Shourie, the chief editor of the Indian Express at that time, that some significant passages had been omitted from the English translation of an Urdu book written long ago by the father of Ali Mian, the famous Muslim theologian from Lucknow. He wrote an article, Hideaway Communalism, in the Indian Express of February 5, 1989, pointing out how the passages regarding destruction of Hindu temples and buildings of mosques on their sites at Delhi, Jaipur, Kannauj, Etawah, Ayodhya, Varanasi, Mathura had been dropped from the English translation published by Ali Mian himself. This was a new and dramatic departure from the norm observed so far by the prestigious press. Publishing anything which said that Islam was less than sublime had been taboo for a long time. I was pleasantly surprised and named Arun Shourie as the Gorbachev of India. He had thrown open the windows and let in fresh breeze in a house full of the stinking garbage of stale slogans. I was still more surprised when he invited me to document for his paper what I knew on the subject. I had tried to get into the prestigious press again and again, with documented articles on communism, Islam and Christianity, but had given up after being rebuffed every time. The big press, I had been told, was meant for respectable writers. I had kept a tally of the respectable tribe. I had discovered that most of them were big liars about the Soviet Union, Red China, India's history, Hindu society and culture, and quote-unquote the achievements of Islam and Christianity in this country. The most successful among these worthies were the professional Hindu baiters. They pocketed the fattest checks for heaping filth on everything Hindu, and that too in a press owned by Hindu money bags. I promised to Arun Shourie that I would send an article very soon. He asked me to write more than one and covered the subject adequately. So I wrote 3 articles, fully documented them from unimpeachable Islamic sources and showing that destroying other people's places of worship was a favorite pastime of practically all Muslim rulers in medieval times and a pious performance in Islam after the precedent had been set by the Prophet himself. The first article was published on February 19, 1989. It was illustrated with facsimiles of 6 Islamic inscriptions saying that Allah and the Prophet had blessed the pulling down of Hindu temples and the raising of mosques in their places, mostly with their materials. Arun Shourie had shown great courage, but he had counted without the secularist crowd which had access to the owner of the Indian Express. He told me on the phone that there was some trouble brewing. I have never talked to him about the nature of the trouble, and do not know if my articles had anything to do with his ouster from the Indian Express next year. All I know is that he had to slow down the publication of my next 2 articles. They were to appear in the weeks following February 19. Actually, they appeared on April 16 and May 21.